Hi guys and welcome back to the Pride of Villa. Today we're going to be talking about a developing story that came out from a few weeks ago about the potential of Sean Dyche to Aston Villa as our new manager. We're going to go through the stories that were linked behind this, what he can be bringing to the Aston Villa team, and overall our personal opinions and thoughts on the situation. So if you are going to enjoy this video, please either like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you never miss out on new content. Be sure to check out AOGrips.com if you want to buy the latest and best gaming accessories in the market. Obviously use the discount code PRIDONVILLA, you're getting 10% off. And without further ado, let's just get started. So, about 2 weeks ago, on the 26th of April, it was reported from Birmingham Live and other news outlets that there was interest from the Aston Villa board in Sean Dyche becoming the newest manager to replace Dean Smith. This came from after, I believe, a recent press conference with Dyche saying how he's admitted to the lack of financial funding that he can receive when he's trying to develop a squad in the transfer window, when he wants to bring in new players, and that's why he's had to work with such a lower developing and talented team. And from that, it was garnered that Aston Villa were very interested in the manager. This isn't a bad decision on the Villa half, considering that Dean's poor run of form before football was obviously cancelled. We were sitting in the bottom end of the table in the relegation zone. Clearly they were thinking of when they had to bring in a manager, they want to bring in somebody who has potentially the experience of being in the Championship and can bring them out, as Burnley have been able to do that twice with Sean Dyche in 2013-14. They wanted that experience of somebody who knows a bit more about the Championship, similar to what Steve Bruce was brought in to do, I believe. Give them, because he had the experience of getting out of the Championship with teams like Hull City and Birmingham, and I believe that's the sort of interest they're trying to garner from Sean Dyche. But what does Sean Dyche bring to the table? What does his play style bring? Well, from reading sources, it states that his play style is more of a possession-based play. So he likes to, have his players keep a hold of the ball and make more shorter passes rather than long outward passes towards their wider attacking players. This means that they can keep the ball and slowly move up the pitch without having to waste possession and give away any unnecessary opportunities to the opposing team. But it's also stated that they do like to play long balls out, especially from the back, meaning that the ball is more likely to travel further across the pitch and give themselves more chance to get ahead towards the goal and give themselves a better chance at scoring. So what can that bring to Aston Villa? Well, with the players that we have, we are lacking in, I guess, creativity and sorts, considering the injuries that we've had to players like McGinn. And we're really playing Grealish as a wider player on the left rather than in his natural role as a more holding or attacking midfielder. Bringing somebody in like Sean Dyche would, I guess, help us to teach how to, retain the ball rather than giving it away, because that's something that we seem to see a lot with Aston Villa, especially in the I remember in the Carabao Cup final against Man City, one of the things me and Nathan would constantly complain about was Douglas Luiz's consistently giving away the balls to the opposition. There's a lot of that goes on in the Villa team, not just in the midfield but also in the defence. This is what can lead to the goals being scored against us, and that's how we've ended up with, I believe, the worst record in this season, as we are, I believe, sitting 20th for most goals conceded. And I believe Sean Dyche would help reinforce that the defence in us as well, but alongside that, make sure that we have a bit more creativity, a bit more fluidity in our passing, and just really help us to create some new ideas and set pieces and just move us alongside the pitch. But moving away from the play style, it's also that idea of the transfer budget, being able to work on a smaller sum of money rather than a larger amount of money. This is something that we've seen with Paul Lambert, when Origi came in, something that was happening with Martin O'Neill as his time with Aston Villa was getting closer and closer to the end. Sean Dyche has many experience with the team that he has. He's got the idea of working on a small financial budget, and this means that he can produce players that have got a massive wide ability of talent. And we've seen it. They've managed to finish in a Europa League spot earlier in years to come. He's been able to work miracles with a team that hasn't really been associated with much success or much critical fanfare because, not a lot of people see enough talent in Burnley. They see us as just a team that fills up the numbers, or at least we do. But what does this mean for Aston Villa? What can someone like him do to our transfer budget? Well, obviously, even though it's not a massive name that we see in the football game like Jose Mourinho or Jurgen Klopp, the idea of Sean Dyche means if we had to, we could bring in some players over from Burnley, like I believe McNeil, Nick Pope, Tarkowski. There's some good players there we could bring over that could help reinforce our creative midfield or the defence. But also because of how, consistent he's able to be in the Premier League and that idea of survival, it's the idea that he could potentially go for some bigger players and probably would have a better idea of the players that are better for the job rather than what Dean Smith is bringing. Because to be fair, some of them have been good decisions, but most of them, in our opinion, haven't been able to live up to the expectations that was set for him. Somebody like, Trezeguet, Drinkwater, I don't know. Who's been rubbish this season? You could say Wesley, But with Sean Dyche, there is clearly somebody who knows the transfer market, knows what players needed to be brought in. Because he's done it before, as we've said, if he can work with a small budget, he clearly knows the players that he needs and doesn't need to spend a massive fortune on them. Because that means he can identify talented players that may not have as much talent or experience as somebody else, but knows what he's doing with the squad. So, overall, my thoughts on, Sean Dyche coming to Aston Villa or being potentially the next manager for Aston Villa. I don't think this is a bad idea, to be fair. I think we've said it enough times how I've personally felt about Dean Smith. I think his time's up. And even though it's recording this, we haven't got any football right now. I guess the aggression or hatred shown towards Smith has rather decreased. I still think that maybe he is out of his spot, and depending on what happens with the Premier League going forward, if we are to carry on with the last 8 games, I think Dean Smith really needs to show a turnaround, otherwise he's got to be out of that job. I think either way, Championship or Premier League, Sean Dyche is a really good backup option for the next manager, Aston Villa. As we said, he works good with a small budget. He actually is a really underrated manager in terms of tactics and play style. He knows what he's doing. He's got the experience both in the Premier League and Championship. He's essentially a good all-round manager. May not have the brilliance that we've said in some of the higher class managers, but he definitely knows what he's doing in his job and understands the position that he needs to fulfill. And something like him in an Aston Villa team, I think he would really well. We'd see a better play style, better fluidity, better creative in the midfield, and overall just something more appealing to watch than some of the garbage we've had to see this season. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for that video. It's just a quick little video. Just want to talk about this situation because, just thought I'd give you something, a bit more different content. I haven't had a bit of a discussion video like this in a little bit of a while. Hopefully it's been a good video to watch. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Obviously, tell us in the comments down below what you would like to see, and also I'm going to put a poll just up here if you believe that Sean Dyche will be a good manager for Aston Villa or not. But that's really going to do it. Check out our groups as we said, but without further ado, I've been Ben, up the Villa with the pride of Villa. We'll see you later, boys.